The fact that you clicked on this video tells me everything I need to know. You are spiraling, okay? You do not need the perfect mic, the perfect aesthetics, the perfect lighting to start your podcast. You're focusing on the wrong things, but it's okay. I'm going to get you together real quick. So, today we're going to talk about why aesthetics is not going to be the thing that's going to make or break the success of your podcast. I am here to help you to be able to stop overthinking and just get started. I know that's not what you were looking for when you clicked on this video, but it's what you're going to get. 4 years into my podcasting journey, and if there's one thing that I've learned, aesthetics is not the thing that's kept me going. And it's certainly not the thing that has grown my listener base. It's actually content, which I'm willing to bet real money that you have plenty of. I'm actually willing to bet that you have a notes app in your phone with tons of different podcast topic ideas. You have written out outlines of what you could say. Like, I'm willing to bet you're over prepared, but yet still here we are, 2025, and you haven't started your podcast yet. What's going on? So let's talk about what you actually need in order to be able to have a successful podcast. And this video is especially for you if you have a business, specifically if you are a coach and you are looking to launch your podcast as a means of getting more eyes on your business, being able to attract more clients and grow your base of potential leads for your business. If that's you, continue watching. All right, so let's talk about the first thing that you're going to need in order to have a successful podcast. You're going to need crystal clear goals. I know. It feels so simple, right? But here's why this is important, but often the most overlooked thing is we say that we want to have a podcast, and that's where our goal ends. And then we get into podcasting, and people are telling us left and right, you should talk about this in your podcast. Have you thought about inviting this guest? And soon we realize that one, we are investing so much time into our podcast, but we're not getting the results that leave us feeling satisfied or like it was worth the investment of our time, energy, and maybe even money. And the reason why that happens is because we were not clear on our goals. When you know your why, you will be able to distinguish which opportunities are good opportunities, which ideas are good ideas, and which ones are like, not now, maybe never. So I want you to actually write a goal for your podcast, right? So, what is it that you want to be able to achieve through having your podcast? Who is it that you want to connect with on your podcast? Who do you hope listens and tunes in? And as a result of them listening, what do you want them to do? All right. So, who do you want to listen to your podcast? And what do you want them to do as a result of listening and tuning in? For instance, if you are desiring to leverage your podcast for your business, you are probably looking for your ideal clients to listen in. And as a result, you want them to become a client, right? And so you may have micro steps along the way, right? You might have like a freebie that you are promoting through your podcast and you want them to click on that. But I want you to also get really clear and write the number, right? So how many new leads are you looking to get each month for your business through your podcast? I want you to write that number out. That's really important because then we can measure, is the podcast working? And if not, what things do I need to adjust? Sometimes we're really quick to say like, this isn't working, but because we don't know where we're aiming, we don't know where we're falling off. We don't know what's broken in the system of what we're doing and our steps that we're taking. So I want you to be really clear on, again, who is it that you want to listen to your podcast? And don't say ideal client. Like, I kept it generic so that you could fill it in, but I want you to write down very specifically who that person is. There is likely someone that you've been working with that you're like, this person is a dream. I know you've had so many clients over the years and you've helped them, but like there's that one person that you're like, man, if I could get 10 more of Susan. And there's likely some like traits about that person, right? In terms of maybe the level of seriousness that they took the coaching services that you offered. Maybe it was the fact that they paid in full. Okay. Maybe it was the fact of like they actually ended up getting the results that you designed your program and services to provide. And so I want you to like dig into that and write out what is it about that person that made them a dream client. And then I want you to spend some time researching where were they in their journey when they started, connecting with you. That's really important. So I want you to hold on to that because we're going to use that later on when we talk about what you're going to talk about in this podcast. Okay, so first thing first, you're responsible for setting goals for your podcast. That's going to be a big thing on whether or not your podcast is successful, or if it's just another random, hobby that you pick up along the way of having a business. Because we got a lot of hobbies that we just, yeah, just me. Okay. So now that we're clear on the goal, the next thing that we're going to need is a strategy. But this strategy is your content strategy in terms of what you're going to talk about. So remember, I asked you to hold on to that thought about where that person was when they met you, that dream client. Okay, this is really important because that's going to help you build out your content strategy. Because essentially, you want to figure out what journey you took that client on, and you want to take your listeners on that same journey, right? So figuring out where that person was in their journey is going to help you figure out your starting point. Because I know there are a million things you talk about on this podcast, but in order to make sure that we're hitting our goals and we're remaining focused, we need to zero in. And so I want you to think about, and maybe even reach out to that client and have a market research time with them. And you can do that very easily if you want to like exchange something like, hey, I'm going to give you a free coaching session in exchange for 30 minutes of your time for a marketing strategy, a marketing research call, like whatever you want to package that up as and make an incentive. Or if you're already on cool terms, just go ahead and hit them up. But you want to schedule some time with that dream client. If you have more than one, that's even better. And I want you to really dig into where were they in their journey when they decided to work with you? What were they struggling with, but like in their language, because that's going to begin to be some of the episodes you're going to use to be able to target more people like them, because they do exist. And then you want to figure out what was it about, how you position yourself that made you stand out as like the best choice. What did they try before they decided to work with you? Because we all tried a little band-aid solutions, okay, on our open wounds. What did they try to before they decided to invest to work with you? And then how did they describe what you provided to them for them? How did they provide the solution that you offer? Like, I know we all got like our nice little line of how we want to describe it, like, oh, I have a 6-week program. No, how for them, what did it mean for them? And that is going to begin to be like help you flesh out those episodes in terms of what you need to talk about on your podcast. And then if you're really feeling fancy, I would encourage you to ask that person if they would be willing to be a guest on your podcast, because one of the ways you're going to be able to leverage your podcast to be able to acquire new clients is showing the success stories that you already have. And so one, if you're like, ooh, this is so good, I have a million ideas and I need a way to be able to structure them, make them make sense. Like, I get where you're going, Victoria, but I need more of a roadmap. If that's you, down below, I have a link for a free episode scripting template. It's going to help you to be able to take all the ideas that you're getting as you're listening to this client and like streamline them into actual episodes so that you know what you need to say to make the point clear and relevant in what you're trying to say. Because sometimes, we got these ideas and then we're like going all the way around the idea in the episode. If you know you have the tendency to ramble, go ahead and go down below and get that link. So you can get this free episode scripting template to help you take your ideas and turn them into impactful episodes. So that is the first resource that I want to offer you. And again, that's free down below. Now, if you're like, okay, I need more support in terms of like the planning of the podcast, I want to invite you to attend my upcoming Plan Your Podcast workshop. The link is also going to be down below. What's really great about this is it is not your typical like webinar style presentation where you're listening to me talk. It's very interactive. There are some hot seat moments where you can get specific feedback from me in terms of the ideas you have for your podcast, like whether or not you are positioning yourself right. Like, am I really focused on the right thing? Because again, this is for people who are not looking to just pick up another hobby, but you're like, I very clearly know that I want to use this podcast to get new clients, and I need to make sure that I'm approaching this from the right way to do that. If that's you, you're going to want to go ahead and grab your ticket for the Plan Your Podcast workshop, so you can get some direct feedback on the strategies that you're using in terms of content and how you are formatting things. And so in that workshop, I'll teach you my framework for how to attract the right audience for your podcast. Again, based on the goal of turning your podcast listeners into paying clients. So those are two resources that I have available to you. And of course, as always, subscribe, okay? Because there's going to be more content that's going to help you to be able to start attracting high paying clients through through podcasting. And also, it's going to be great because you're going to get more clarity on like, what does it mean to have a podcast? What are the different things that are required? And of course, I hope that one of the big things that you take away from these live conversations with me is just to do the thing, okay? And let it be a human process. Sometimes we want to like appear perfect. We want to appear like we have it all together, and we delay walking in our purpose to the highest degree because we are so fixated on something that's incredibly unattainable, which is perfectionism. I learned a long time ago to let that go. When I started my podcast, I literally used my phone. I still use my phone because I'm more focused on getting the message out than how people perceive me along the way. When people are listening, they're not like, oh my God, I can't believe she said 5 times. Like, they're just like happy and grateful that someone is answering their questions. The purpose of your podcast is to be able to give people quick wins that they can begin to trust you through, right? So it's not just like information heavy, it is wins, things that they can apply in the moment to get a quick win, whether it's a mindset win, a momentum win, or like now they have a clear map for their next step. But giving them a quick win so that they grow to trust you. So that way, when it comes time for you to make the ask in terms of like an investment, they're like, yeah, of course, because like I've literally been binging your content for free through your podcast and my life has changed. And like, that's what you want, because it's going to make those sales calls so much more, they're going to just feel different because people are going to be getting on the call, one, as a super fan, because they're like, oh my gosh, I like listened to all your podcasts and here's how it's changed my life. And I want to help you imagine what that's like. So I want you to close your eyes, take a deep, full breath in. And I want you to imagine that you have already been podcasting for, let's just say, about a year now. And you've put out dozens of episodes and you are just in your groove. And you look on your calendar for the day to see what is coming up, and you realize, okay, I have 3 sales calls today. Cool. And you go about your day, drinking your coffee, chilling, and you hop on your first call. And the person on the other end of that call is just buzzing with excitement. They are speaking so fast because they're so excited to like, they're fangirling out, okay? They're like, I have been listening to the health recovery podcast for like the last 3 months. And can I tell you that I literally have like changed my life. Like, I, struggled really for a long time about transitioning into a more healthy lifestyle. And I really thought that it was all about weight loss. But like through listening to your podcast, I realized that like the reason why I was unhappy had more to do with like my lack of boundaries in my life. Like, nobody saw that. Da, da, da. Like, they're just going off the rails talking about how you know them better than anyone else, and how they were just so many things that they were struggling with, and they didn't realize the root cause was something so much deeper. And they're just like, I am just like happy that I'm finally at a place where I can go ahead and invest to work with you, because it's like been on my vision board like ever since dot dot dot. Like, that is the kind of energy that we want to have on these calls, where we are being affirmed of the value that we've already had in their life, and that they're looking to invest in themselves at the next level, and they trust you to be able to be the one to help them get the results for their next level of transformation. But they've already been transformed and changed through being connected to your community through your podcast, through the content that you're putting out consistently on your podcast. You see how different that feels? Like on your, like to imagine a call where it starts like that. Now you can go ahead and exhale, open your eyes. I know I got a little ahead of myself with that one because I'm getting excited about this for you, because a lot of times we imagine that that's what it's like for everyone else, but it's hard for us to imagine that's going to be like for us, right? We don't see ourselves as celebrities or popular. Like we're just Jane. And I want you to know that being appreciated for your work, for your expertise, for your wisdom, that is not a far off goal. That is not like you in another life reincarnated as Oprah. Like that can be you today, but how that happens is through consistency and stepping outside of your comfort zone. Like you're not going to get there by staying in your comfort zone. I hopped on impromptu last night actually to talk about this because I feel like we are in a season, and I say we because I'm also being called to stretch myself in this area, but I feel like we're in a season where we are literally caged in our own comfort. Like, and when we break out of that, we're going to realize that we could fly to such higher heights. But again, it's going to be as a result of us deciding, not just in our mind, but with our actions, to live beyond our comfort zone. And so I know that one of the reasons deep down why you have been putting off this podcast is because there's a fear around being seen, being in the spotlight. Like you are used to being behind the scenes and you have been successful because people have like loved what you do and you're very relational. And so you get a lot of referrals, but that is not the highest, you know, way of you living in purpose. That is going to come through you stepping out there and putting it out there that you are the best at what you do. And I am excited to be able to walk alongside and encourage you and give you the strategies for how to live beyond your comfort zone and truly walk in the highest level of your purpose. Because people need you and they need what you have to offer. And so let's go ahead and make the decision today to no longer live in the cage of our comfort zone, because when we do that, we rob other people of having access to the resources that they need, that only that you have. Like you have so much experience, so much wisdom, and your story. Your story alone could save thousands. So let's commit. Let's commit together that we're going to live outside of our comfort zone this year, and we are going to allow ourselves to really live into our celebrity energy and realize that like it is really a privilege to be in our presence, and we are ready to let the world see us. So I'm excited for you. I'm excited for this next season of your life. Remember, go ahead and subscribe so you can have more content like this, so that as you're going through your journey, you can have access to the encouragement and the strategy to keep going. And then, of course, I hope to see you at the next Plan Your Podcast workshop. Again, the link is below. And don't forget to grab your free episode scripting template. Until next time, bye.